Hello, everybody. Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. All right. Okay. The Board of Trustees of the Harris County Department of Education now convene in a regular board meeting on Wednesday, December 16th, 2020, in the boardroom at 6300 Irvington Boulevard, Houston, Texas, at 1:05 p.m. I wish to extend a warm welcome to everyone present at this meeting of the Board of Trustees. As trustees, we are here to set goals, listen to reports from the superintendent, approve budgets, contracts, personnel appointments, and make policy for the district. It is not the role of the board to make day-to-day operational decisions. I can tell you none of us want to make day-to-day operational decisions. The management and day-to-day operations of the department are the responsibility of the superintendent, James Colbert, who's doing a good job. We have policies and procedures in place to resolve concerns and issues. This is a public meeting of the Board of Trustees. It is not a meeting of the public. Prior to this meeting, board members received information related to items on today's agenda. Agenda items will not necessarily be handled in the order listed on the notice. The meeting is open to all who wish to attend and hear the matters discussed. During the course of this meeting, the board may determine that a closed session is necessary. In that event, the board will meet in closed session to consider matters duly posted for this meeting as permitted by section 551071 to 551084, inclusive of the Texas Government Code. I respectfully ask that you please refrain from talking while others are speaking, and that your cell phones are turned off or in silent mode. And I've been guilty of leaving my phone on. Thank you for taking this afternoon to join us and for your interest in Harris County Department of Education. Okay, so I imagine we're starting off as we always do with, we're having an invocation by Janice Owolabi. I'm sorry, Janice. I'm sorry. I tried. Sorry.
Pronounced everything. Gracious God, we thank you for this opportunity to call us here for this meeting. We thank you for everyone who is here today. You have blessed us with supportive people who seek to make a positive impact on the welfare of children. Loving Father, we thank you most of all for being here in our midst. Let your presence be known and lead this meeting today. Thank you, Father, for we know you are always here to support all of us. We give you thanks and praise. Amen.
We're going to move on. We're going to have the Pledge of Allegiance to the U.S. flag. Lisa Thompson Curthers, I hope I pronounced that right, Lisa.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
We're going to move on. We're going to have the open forum. And I do see that Greg DeGuider, you signed up to speak. Greg, so please come up, speak, and we're looking forward to you speaking. I know you do good work at Big Jolly and do good in your blogging. We look forward to hearing from you, Greg.
Thank you for the opportunity to address the board. I run a small nonprofit, and I guess it's technically on the HCDE side of the A-Leaf line, but right on the border. And one of the teachers from A-Leaf had reached out to me, indicating that her students were wanting to return to on-campus classes, but could not afford the uniform because of COVID reasons. And this student population also is the population that would qualify for the reduced or free breakfast or free lunch and was having food insecurity issues. She indicated that they were able to get the immediate need for the ones wanting to return to school, the uniforms right now, but that she didn't see a way that the, excuse me, when the coronavirus was finally gone and everything was mandatory to return to on-campus again, how that they would be able to meet that second wave of need coming up. And I wasn't sure if this was something that the board could even get involved with. I just wanted to bring it to the board's attention.
Thank you, Greg. And I'm hopeful that, does any board members have any questions for Greg? You could address them if you'd like. But if not, then I'm hopeful that maybe, maybe you could bring it up with the department, or maybe it's something that our foundation could look into, or maybe A-Leaf could apply to the foundation grant is what I'd guess. Maybe that would be the correct manner. Trustee Duhon?
Could we request an email or something along those lines on this so we can get a little bit more information and have it in front of our faces?
Sure, if I don't know email address to send it to.
I'm sure that we can.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other board members have any questions? Thank you very much, Greg,
Thank
for
you.
coming. Thank you for your community participation. And let's move right along. Okay, we're going to go to the reports and presentations. Julie Andrews, you have an annual update from Center for Safe and Secure Schools.
Y'all, I'm a germaphobe. I'm just gonna wipe everything down really quick. Thank you.
Time, it's a.
Can you get my station while you at it?
Huh? I didn't hear you.
Ask.
Good afternoon, HCDE Board President Dick and trustees. My name is Julia Andrews, and I'm the director for the Center for Safe and Secure Schools. Today, I would like to present our yearly board update. May I proceed?
Ma'am, please.
Thank you. I would like the Center for Safe and Secure Schools team to stand so I can introduce them. We're in red today. We have Sierra Nickerson, our school culture and climate specialist, Janice Awalabi, our school safety specialist, Artelia Houghton, our safety coordinator, and Dennis Calloway, our Stop School Violence grant manager. Thank you all. The Center for Safe and Secure Schools was established in 1999, right after Columbine, at the request of school superintendents to advance safe and secure environments for the learning and teaching of our students. At the center, we seek to create new and innovative opportunities to continue building safer and more secure learning environments. A few of the services that we offer: state mandated facility safety and security audits, ongoing opportunities for training and a variety of topics as threat assessment, intruderology or active shooter, restorative practices, implicit bias, dabbling a little bit into some equity training, trauma and resilience, and youth mental health first aid. I have a short video presentation. This was a mixture between last year and this year, pre-COVID. Today, we service 33 districts, 25 in-county and 8 out-of-county, along with some TEA public charter schools in our service areas. Educators served as of today, and I think this is pretty significant because it's mainly virtual now due to COVID, 4,352 in-county educators and out-of-county 396. Several of our collaborative partners that have supported the center are Mental Health of America, United Way, Crime Stoppers, our Sheriff's Office, Unbound Houston, Behavior Centers of America, and Houston and Harris County Emergency Management Systems. Some of our trends and challenges include meeting the safety and security needs for all of our districts with a small staff, expanding our offerings through various media platforms such as webinars and now all virtual. We've pivoted to all virtual workshops. Partnering with national and statewide organizations to provide trainings for our districts. Our client satisfaction survey is at a 94%. 94% of professional development surveys are satisfied with our work in the center. Some of our goals as we continue this work: provide services designed to highlight best practices in school safety and multi-hazard operations planning, supply training and services for educators highlighting best practices with social and emotional learning and equity, build, maintain, and sustain client relationships through delivery of quality end users of services and professional development, and deliver strong support to HCDE schools and facilities. Thank you for listening. Any
Julia?
questions?
Do any board members have any questions for Julia Andrews?
Superintendent James Colbert? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I was just curious. I heard you mention about inequities, and I think when I think of your department, I think of more a lot of school safety and things like that. But when you start talking about inequities, can you go a little bit further into that and explain how that works?
Absolutely. So we're focused on physical safety and our emotional safety. So when we think of equity, that also entails emotional safety, making sure policies are in place for equitable opportunities for our students. So just a little bit of both sides. Some of our collaborative partners, like the mayor's office, have asked, because we have a SEL division, to support some of their work they're doing with the policy work in equity.
And you said SEL?
I'm sorry, social and emotional learning.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's
Acronym.
okay.
Acronym went right over my head. Okay, so this helps with it's both the safety of the students as both as the in school and their social emotional. So okay,
Yes.
it's good to know.
Any other, Superintendent James Colbert?
I'd just like to say that, our Safe and Secure Schools Division has been very agile recently in trying to dip into things beyond just doing security audits and taking more proactive measures. Restorative practices is something that we had a pilot program that went on that was very successful at Spring ISD. And so I really commend them for the work that they're doing and trying to find new and innovative areas where we can support ISDs, especially the culture of public school has changed radically over the past few years. And so they've been very agile in adjusting to that as the ever-changing needs of our ISDs request and need further assistance when we deal with these mass shootings and some of the other things. And I think they've also worked closely with our research and evaluation department to start to see some of the patterns of behavior. I obviously know there's some disproportion when it comes to student discipline, which is also a space that we might be able to get into. And Safe and Secure Schools is a division that has the, I would say, the framework to be able to address some of those issues. So very proud of them.
Thank you.
Eric,
Yes, Trustee Summers.
I'd like to take this opportunity to again request that these presentations, as they appear month to month, be put on our internet site, and the departments that are listed, that they be given access to the presentation. I think that's, since we're trying to promote the department, this is a great inexpensive way of doing it. And over a period of a year, you would have all of the departments that have been presented with their detailed presentations on your internet site.
President Dick, to address Mr. Sumner's, Trustee
Please.
Sumner's, we're in the process of doing that. We've had multiple conversations of that. Mr. Sumner's has been very diligent in wanting to, and I think it's a great idea that we can put these presentations online, so it's a quick widget that people can click on and get this very same presentation. So we're in the process of doing that.
That's good to hear. So it sounds like, Don, your hard work's paying off. Finally. Okay, thank you,
Thank
Ms.
you.
Andrews. Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much for
I
your
have a question.
presentation. Sorry, I'm sorry. Trustee Cantu?
Yeah, I didn't see any kind of breakdown in here. First of all, thank you for the report. You talked about the number of in-county professional educators served and out-of-county. I'd like to see a breakdown, like by ISD.
Sure.
And maybe list the kinds of trainings that were provided. Have we done any specific trainings, or have we been involved with any active shooter drills or training?
Yes, sir. We have another one coming up, I believe, in January. We host them every other month, just about. Now they're virtual. So we partnered with Houston Police Department and now the county. So I can definitely get you, we have our numbers in our service delivery.
And also the collaborative partners, if we could, see exactly what kind of projects or programs we're collaborating on with those. I'm just interested to
Yes.
see what we're doing. I do have a little bit of knowledge about the Sheriff's Department. I know their department, and also even their Explorers program, which are youth that are looking at a career in law enforcement. They do active shooter drills in some of the high schools. And so I didn't know if maybe we were involved in that, or if not, maybe that's something we can
Yes, definitely.
participate with. Yeah, that's basically it. I'd just like to see a little more detail. And I don't know if it's possible to get this in color. It's kind of hard to see some of the writing. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Any other questions for Ms. Julie Andrews? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Presentation, okay. Let's move on to our annual update for Case for Kids with Lisa Carruthers.
Thank you. Thank you, Board of Trustees. So for our annual report, am I driving? You've got it up, but I've here. So after school, we do all things out of school time, and we wrestle with trying to explain that we're more than babysitting. And the After School Alliance puts out this information about how important homework help is and how we are serving a critical role in that. Research shows that if homework is done in out of school time, then families have more time at the dinner table. 62% of students improve their behavior in class. This is reported by teachers across 21st Century Grants. And 50% of students improve their math and reading grades. Now, this is what a lot of our funding streams are coming through the education system, and so this last measure of success is what we often hear and strive for. But we know that it is so much more. Return on investment studies have shown that for every dollar invested, you get $3 in return, because you see increase in kids' earning potential, their performance in school, as well as reduction in crime and juvenile delinquency rates. We did a commissioned study about 8 years ago, and we saw that we had a $4 return on investment from our programming. But again, it's so much more. And so if I was doing a workshop, I would pause here, but I'm not going to pause because I'm timed. So, but we know that after school is so much more. And so I wanted to ask you, what did you do in after school that made you the community leader you are today? Our goal at CASE is to make sure we're equipping kids with skills that go beyond the math and go beyond reading so that they are prepared for their future. Robert Putnam does research that shows that this opportunity gap for low-income kids is closing because their parents can't afford out-of-school time programs. They can't get them in the club. They can't get them in running and jogging. Sorry, I'm slaughtering that, Mr. Culver, but they can't get them the opportunities you had at the athletic clubs. We know debate. That's why we put out on a debate club. But this is what CASE believes, our staff. This is my management team. We're not here. We're 32 people, so I couldn't fill the room. So they are online. So we say thank you guys for all the hard work that you do. But this is my management team here on a Zoom call. But we believe that we do this work because we believe that what happens between school and home matters, that there has to be more for kids between school and home than the streets. So, but we don't do, so this year we served last year we served 17,000 kids. Now this is an anomaly. This is more than usual, and this is because of COVID. And we were able to work in partnership and get resources. While all the school districts closed down, those child care centers had to open up, but they had limited resources. They were putting their money towards masks and making sure that the kids were safe with the sanitizer, so we were able to give them curriculum and materials and games and different things to help to keep the learning aspect going inside those centers. So our numbers did actually go up due to COVID. But we don't do this alone. We're only 32 people, as I said, and so if you see, we have your handout. If you turn over, you can see on the front, you'll see the actual districts that we serve. But on the back, you're going to see the variety of other partners. And so that COVID project was called Project 40. And you can see these are the additional partners we were able to bring in during COVID so that we could actually get resources served to that community. So it's for us to serve, a lot of times there's a lot of confusion around the 17,000. And I really wrestle as we present to the board, as we present to elected officials, what this really means. Because when you think of comprehensive after school, when you think of after school, you're thinking of really our core function and where we started in 1999, which is comprehensive after school, Monday through Friday, 15 hours of care for a working parent where they're getting academic and enrichment opportunities. This is the space that we started in, but as you can see, this is only 1% of those numbers served. So this is how we work with the school districts, and we serve about 40 after-school programs a year. We also leverage additional resources for projects. So this might be a gardening project at a community center. This is what the city of Houston funds, and we grant out their resources for. So this is able to serve many, many more people, but this might be a one-time-a-week project or a Saturday project in the community. So this allows us to go much further with several partners, additional partners. We also started project-based learning. We all know All Earth EcoBot Challenge and Case Debate. Those are our two biggest, but we have many more. We do entrepreneurship projects. We're trying to create an online Shark Tank version. I don't know if that's copyrighted, but we'll think of another name. So we do these project-based learning to keep the kids engaged, and we have gone virtual with EcoBot, and we have kids now, and there will be drones flying in living rooms this year. So we won't come together, but we are still committed to the work. We do quality support, so all of these kids that we're serving, we're working with their educators to make sure they're trained in the best practices. We have our opportunities, or we are working on our Cycle 11 grant, which is the 21st century. We've successfully received a grant every single cycle since 1999. We don't plan on changing that. We're working on the grant right now. It's due in January. When we get back, it'll serve 10 centers. And Level Up Houston is bringing our world online so that we can serve kids and credit them, and they'll be they'll be able to track all their accomplishments during their out-of-school time accomplishments during their history in school, and connect it to their LinkedIn portfolio when they become an adult. So they will document and gild badges as they earn through the years their accomplishments and build their skills. COVID has hurt our field though. We did surveys and we're seeing that 1/3 of our providers may not make it through COVID to summer of next year. So 48% of the people in our follow-up survey, we did a survey at the beginning of COVID and then at the end of the summer before the fall, 48% are concerned that they may have to close their doors permanently. And these are your smaller organizations that do all the content specialty, etiquette, dance. These are small organizations. And so we're really concerned about the summer of next year and what that's going to mean when things start to loosen up and people want to see kids getting services in the content area specialties. And this will continue forward for the fall. So we're hoping that community can hang in with us. We've done as much as we could. Again, lots of partners we're passing money to keep them afloat. And hopefully they will survive the COVID time. And that is my presentation.
Thank you, Lisa, for all your hard work. And I mean that, like, I'm a fan of what we're doing. I know with EcoBots, a few of us just absolutely love the EcoBots. I know we do. Any board members have any questions for Lisa? Trustee Duhon?
What is preventing us from helping and being a part of the other ISDs that aren't listed here as districts we serve?
So those districts goes back to the comprehensive after-school program. So out of the 17,000 students we serve, about 8,000 are actually Monday through Friday comprehensive after-school programs funded by us. We still work with the other districts through professional development, training, getting them vendors. All the districts can use our bid, just like Choice, right? Everybody, if we get 100 people, 100 of these vendors in our bid, they can purchase through that, but they might be using their own funding to do that. So we network with them, we build capacity for them, but they don't actually directly receive our funds.
Are we actively trying to expand to those ISDs as well?
So 21st Century Funds, we only have 10 schools we can put on this grant we're working on right now. And so we have about 6 districts represented on that grant. And what we do is we work with Gayla's office. We invite all the districts, all 25 school districts to apply. They submit schools, and then we have to take the most competitive schools to actually put in the application to be successful. And then, so the more affluent districts may not be in that space. They'll work more with us on the professional development side. And then with our own funding, we also fund about 20 schools a year through our own funding and grant process as well. And so that process is a little cumbersome, and we really would love to have more districts applying, but there's about only 5 or 6 that like to apply for that funding stream. But we are actually going to present to, I started last year presenting to all the boards, all school district boards about after school and just going once a year. And so hopefully we can drive some more interest.
Any other trustees have, Trustee Cantu?
Hi, thank you for this report. Always excited to hear about all the great things we're doing to keep kids off the streets and involved in something positive after school. I think you know a little bit about my background and how much I care about this program. I'm still very concerned about neighborhoods and schools, neighborhoods that are struggling, schools that are struggling. And I just really encourage our department to do whatever we can to fill those gaps, to reach out. And I know you say only a certain amount of schools or districts apply for the funding, but I really would like to see us be proactive and seek out the schools that are struggling. And because I know that, as you mentioned, the kids that get involved in these after-school programs and get exposed to these positive role models and to that after-school tutoring and enrichment, they're going to do better in school. So, I'd like to see us reaching out to those schools. And, I don't want to mention any by name, but we all know, the neighborhoods and the schools that are struggling. And when I look at the map, the City Connections map of where they're at, and those are the areas where we've got gaps. And
Right.
So,
We worked with the Houston Endowment and the United Way to do 3 years ago, to do a major fiscal scan to see where programs were, as well as, and then re-upped it last year. And so we're going to continue that work forward to find those gaps and where they are. Because again, some of the 21st Century programs don't come through us, but we still collaborate with them too. So trying to maintain where the resources are going.
Yeah, I mean, and, you know, and I don't want to take anything away from the schools and the neighborhoods that have great programs, but a lot of most of the best after-school programs I've seen throughout the years are in affluent neighborhoods, in schools that are, you know, doing incredibly well, exemplary schools and recognized schools, and I just feel like we need to do everything we can to reach out to the struggling schools and struggling neighborhoods. So, thank you.
Trustee Norris?
A couple things. Yeah, I want to echo that sentiment, and I'm also curious on those studies. Do we those studies that what the Houston Endowment? I would love to see that because
Okay.
I know when a lot of the schools came out, even with HISD, when they were having I guess they're still having some issues, but when they were going through, most of them were in precinct 1, which I represent. So I would definitely love to see where those are at, and whatever we can do to help step up. I would love to see, you know, and also I want to know, it sounds like we might be losing partners. I don't know if we're looking ahead on how does that look, and, you know, what do we, I guess some of it is out of our control, but I don't know, you know, in anticipation that if things do change with COVID, whether partnerships change or whatever, you know, what are we doing to, you know, to look forward and say, okay, well, this may be happening. What can we do to make sure that we're not caught flat-footed and making those adjustments? I know that's
Exactly.
that's, you know, some forethought, but particularly I would love to see, most importantly, I would love to see the studies and where they're at. I have a feeling there are a few in my precinct and everybody else's precinct
Right.
to
And
speak.
we'll work with research and evaluation as well they're going to produce some maps for us, so that's not just that one you saw when you walked our office, but we can actually send it to you digitally.
Any other trustees have any questions for Lisa? Oh, James?
I'm not a trustee.
I
but-
know, superintendent.
Well, I'd
yes.
just like to thank you for your leadership. Case has done a fantastic job of handling whatever we've thrown at it, so I think that some of the things that our trustees have brought up, they'll do a good job with that. I remember 2 years ago, unexpectedly, you know, I walked in and told Lisa that, hey, you're going to be doing EcoBots now, you know, and they took that to a level that it hadn't been before, and then I came back to her the next year and said, you need to do this thing called case debates, which she actually came up with that. And she not only took it, but her crew ran with it. And if you've never seen a group put on an event for kids, I mean, they do an incredible job. It is, when I go to the EcoBots Challenge, there's hundreds of kids in this big convention center. And we're talking about a guy who did his student teaching with 5th graders, and I couldn't get 20 kids to line up for a recess. But the way they put on an event, it's just masterful. They do an outstanding job. So I have the utmost confidence in your leadership and your department and the capacity that y'all have in not only trying to get to some of these hidden pockets that may not be applying for these grants or don't even know the grants exist, but they need them more than anybody, you know, and getting into that space. So thank you for your leadership, and tell your folks who really appreciate them.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, James, do you have a report for us?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Trustee Dick. I've got 5 items I'd like to cover. First, I want to take this opportunity to recognize and thank Trustee Wolf and Trustee Sumners for their leadership. You know, it's weird because we kind of came to HCDE together at the same time, and I believe this is Trustee Sumner's last board meeting, so I want to thank you personally, and also thank Trustee Wolf, who's not here today, for their leadership. It's not easy to be a board member for any board, you know, just to drive up here, but to go through thousands of pages of documentation every single month, and to serve in these meetings that can go on. I think our record is 8 hours and 53 minutes. It's not easy to do, and so anybody who chooses the path of public service should be commended for that. And the fact that the people have voted and brought y'all forward, and you've acted to serve, I can tell you that once I retire, I absolutely will not be serving on any boards. I don't intend to at all. So to you, Trustee Sumners, and to also Trustee Wolf, I appreciate you and thank you for your leadership. Other items here. Tomorrow is one of the days that I look forward to every year. We go down to Pasadena and we have a company called Bates Collision to give away cars. They've been doing this, I believe, Anita, for 17 years? 17 years. They give away 2 cars to a needy family who applied for it. It's not always to our Head Start parents. This year it's just to 1 Head Start parent. Typically it's to 2. But certainly, regardless of COVID-19 or whatever, we still have people who need transportation, some of the basic necessities that we take for granted. So I certainly would invite the board members, the trustees, tomorrow. You can get the information from Ms. Godbout, but it's going to be at 10 o'clock. We're keeping it really small this year. It's going to be an outside event. Typically, it would be, if you've ever gone to one of these, it's packed inside of these facilities, and then we move to outside. This will take place outside completely. And so we've really limited how many staff can attend and this, that, and the other, but certainly all the board is welcome. And it's super cool. And my favorite part is the kid, because the cars are typically packed with presents for the kids, and it's awesome. So I would invite you to attend that. That's 10 o'clock tomorrow in Pasadena. Not Pasadena, Baytown. I keep saying Pasadena, Baytown. Next, last week, we did some site visits. As you know, we were doing a capital improvement program. One of the facilities that we're looking at renovating. And so we took a team of folks along with our architects and our project managers to go visit Stafford Municipal School District. We also visited Goose Creek and Deer Park to look at some of their facilities, but more specifically look at their boardrooms. And it was very enlightening. I can tell you that, Deer Park has an awesome administration building that has a lot of things that we really like. I was reminded time and time again about what the budget was for this project because I want to do probably twice as much as what we've allotted for money-wise, but I'm really excited. I think that once we get this entire project done, I think the board will be very proud of the facility that we have. I think people will be able to compliment it, and it will look more like what we are and aspire to be. So I look forward to that happening. Number 4, we have 2 new trustees coming to our board, David Brown and Erica Davis. I think it was about, maybe it was last week, could have been 2 weeks ago. I did a board orientation with them, a little bit modified. Typically, I take new board members and throw them in the car and we go out to campuses. Because of COVID, we didn't do that, but we spent a good 4 hours together and went through everything that HCDE is about. I gave them a tour of this facility and also took them over to the 500s. They're extremely excited to be part of this board, and they're looking forward to it, so much so that they want to be sworn in on January 1st. And so I would invite our board members to attend that. And they, I've had to try to get them to calm down on how many people they want to bring. And we might have to separate the families a little bit to try to maintain and honor our social distancing that we're doing here at HCDE. But I'm excited that they're excited, and I think it would be awesome that not only that they get sworn in on the 1st, but we'd be able to take a group photo with them. I think we can be in and out of here in an hour. And I believe, Melissa, that's starting at 10. Yes, 10 o'clock, so you can go to Ms. Godbout for information about that. Any questions, comments, concerns about that? And finally, as you know, we've been doing an awareness campaign, and just recently we sent out mailers to 900,000 families. And I know some of y'all have gotten comments. Well, there's actually 3 stages to that initiative, and we're about to start round number 2, which is being handed out to you now. This will go out in January, and I don't know if any of y'all have ever seen these impact newsletters that go out. I love to read them. One, I like to find out information about what's happening in ISDs, but it's also pretty cool to find out what restaurants are opening up. But this is just a sample. They won't actually look exactly like this. We're going to trim this border. This is something that we printed out. So it'll be cleaner than this, a little bit thicker cardstock. But this will go out in the the magazine, the Impact magazine that's coming out in January. We're still at an informative stage, trying to help people understand who we are and what we do. If you look at the back, you'll see that we've put the logos of all 25 school districts on the back of it, so people can understand the scope and size and the bandwidth of what HCDE has in this county. But I think that this has been a very successful initiative. Mr. Dick has been very insistent, and he and I have gone back and forth, and he has won multiple times on this. But it has turned out to be a fantastic idea where, so many people are becoming aware of who we are and what we do, or at very least asking questions about us. And so we're looking forward to that. So that's round 2. That will go out to 600,000 Impact newsletters throughout the county. Not every part of the county gets those magazines or newspapers, whatever you want to call them. But we'll have one more round that will go out later on this spring. With that, that's all I have, sir.
Any trustees have comments for our superintendent, concerns? I'm going to thank you for all your hard work. Oh, sorry, Trustee Hinojosa?
I just have a question. So is the next round, are we going to list the schools that we run and specifically what they're about? I don't think that was in the last mailer that we sent out, and I don't see it here, and I was wondering if we would be doing that.
Well, if you look at the top in the red, it mentions our special schools. So in the inside page, this is more or less the pillars that we run on, with the exception of adult ed is not in this one. But the top red one speaks to our special schools, but it doesn't outline exactly what it is that they do. That's something that we're more than willing to take in, whatever recommendations you have, and then when we come around the next round, we could certainly incorporate that.
Okay.
And I'd note that maybe we need in the future, maybe next time, maybe we do more than 2 pages. I think it's a good start. I think we were at nothing before, and 2 pages or 4 pages is a good start. But we need to tell a story. At some point, we need to tell the story of HCDE. Mm-hmm. Most people don't know the story. But thank you, James, for your leadership on this. Thank you for your leadership and the capital improvements. And I'm glad that we're finally doing something whenever new trustees are sworn in. Thank you for your leadership in that. And I think you've done a very good job this year, and I think we should at least give James, the least we could do is give James a round of applause.
Gotta stop doing that. Just so y'all know, the reason why it's just 1 page, because that was the compromise. Mr. Dick won, but we compromised a little bit. He went through 8 pages. Yes, sir.
Was adult ed left out mainly because of space? Because we have the biggest adult ed program in the state, right? Because that's kind of a big deal.
No doubt. It's coming. And so, we're trying to look forward. This is something that we should do every single year. Mm-hmm. And what we don't want to do is start replicating stuff, the same stuff over and over again. And so eventually what I wanted to turn into is more of a newsletter to update people on things that have happened in the past 4 or 5 months or whatever. But adult ed, it's going to be coming in there for sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
If I have my way, it's a good start. Okay, and thank you, James. So we're going to move on. Trustee Cantu, do you have a report with the feasibility committee, subcommittee?
Not a formal report, but the feasibility committee did meet earlier this month and just had an informal discussion regarding the equine therapy program. There's the possible partnership with Harris County Precinct 2 is, slowly moving forward, and I think we still have some due diligence to do on that, and but it's looking like it may be possible. I don't know if Mr. Colbert wants to cover some details.
Yeah, so we had a very good feasibility committee, and we thought that administration needed to put a little bit more time. What I'd like to do is bring to y'all a formal presentation in the January board meeting, where I'll actually do a PowerPoint to the board. And really what I'll be seeking and talking to our legal counsel, it might be better to have an actual action item where the board will decide whether this is something that we want to proceed or not, and whether we should move forward. What will be unique about this initiative, if the board chooses to proceed in it, It will be probably one of the first really big projects that is a collaborative project with one of our governmental entities locally. And so that's new space for me a little bit. I'm not used to sharing projects with other places, and so that's going to be interesting. But what I hope to do in January is explain what equine therapy is, to define what it will look like under HCDE, and then be completely honest and talk about the positives and the negatives if we choose to get into that space. And so it's a big decision for our organization, and it's not all positives. There's some things that we should really need to be mindful of if we choose to move into that space. So hope to have that for you in January.
Any other trustees have any questions or concerns about the feasibility committee? I note that I'm very supportive of what we're doing and what we're trying to do, and I'm very proud that we're taking the initiative and pushing forward. Though I might not think alkaline therapy is always the best, but I do believe that I'm very open. I'm going to support y'all regardless. But I'd like to see, because one of the issues with alkaline therapy that I've heard from some of the county commissioners is it could be expensive. I see the theme, and I understand the theme. I appreciate the theme. I'm into the theme. We're in Texas. There's a lot of reasons to support alkaline therapy. I just want, and you're gonna do this. You're gonna explain the goods and the bads, and I know you're gonna do it in an honest and candid way. I look forward to it. I look forward to it being it being done thoroughly, and I'm very supportive of y'all doing that.
I'd like to request an additional feasibility committee meeting after perhaps the presentation. So I guess that would be between the January and February meetings, if that makes sense. Thanks.
Well, so I was planning on are you saying you would like the action item to come in the February board meeting? Because I was planning on having an action item in the January board meeting. So then the board will decide whether to proceed or not. And if they choose not to proceed, then I don't know that we would have a need for a feasibility committee for that.
I think it might take a review of the information plus an additional feasibility committee meeting for us to be able to decide whether we would like to move forward or not. And so I would request that we would not have an action item until February.
Or we could do feasibility before. Let's do that, okay?
Trustee Hinojosa?
I think that, it'd be great to have a feasibility meeting beforehand, but it would also be helpful to see the presentation first before we have another feasibility meeting. I think that would be really beneficial.
Or we could have a board workshop. That's what it sounds like.
And yeah, I think that'd be great.
Okay.
Because it's a big decision, and it's a sizable budget, so I think that'd be helpful.
We need to do a thorough analysis. That's what it sounds like. We're very interested in it. We're very happy that the department's taking initiative, and we're taking it seriously. That's what it sounds like. Trustee Summers.
Well, I'd like to get my 2 cents in here. I think going into the plan like this, really, James, requires that you prepare a comprehensive study of it, like we've done for the ABU schools. And
We did that in the feasibility study.
yeah, have you already done that?
It was 76 pages, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
that was in the first feasibility.
Then all the trustees really need to study that if it's all there before they have their next meeting.
Very good.
Thank you, Don. Any other questions? Thank you for your hard work on the alkaline therapy. I'm looking forward to seeing what we're doing in the future with that. Let's see, now we move on to announcement of awards from Government Finance Officers Association, GFOA.
Yes, the Government Finance Officers Association has notified us that we received for the 11th and 12th year in a row the School Budgeting Budget Document Award. You have the framework of what the best practices for school budgeting is. And so we follow this framework, and that's how they judge us in our budgeted awards. So this is for 2019 and 2020. And this is a group effort from board, superintendent, ELT, division managers that we submit the budget and gets approved. And so this is the framework that we've submitted. And so this is the 12th year in a row that we've received that award. So I want to thank you and present that to you.
Thank you so much.
Eric? I'd like to make a comment about this. This is a very well-established organization that we get this reward from. Very prominent and very prestigious. I used to be a member of this myself, so it's a big deal.
Well, that's great to hear. That's great to hear from you, Don. That's excellent.
And Dr. Amesco, how many of those have we won?
12.
So we've won 12 of those from that prestigious committee you used to sit on, Mr. Summers? Thank you, sir.
Okay, do we have any other reports from board members concerning attendance or participation in a board or HCDE-related conference, event activity, or committee accolades for an HCDE staff member or other deserving person? Trustee Summers?
I'd like to take this opportunity to talk to you a little bit about me leaving the board. It's been a interesting and somewhat at times taxing position, but I've enjoyed it. This is going to be, I guess, the end of my elected political life, having been in the elected political service for 29 years now. So many of y'all don't know that I was elected county treasurer in '94, and I was then served at that position, then worked for the tax office and was elected as the county tax assessor collector in 2010. And I finally retired in 2012 and then was elected to this board. So as one of my colleagues like to say, he thinks I'm the only person that has ever been elected to 3 Harris County positions. And I've enjoyed them all. I've had my fights in all of them. I've gotten kicked out of office for advocating for tax reform. Those of y'all that live in the city of Houston, or any of you, do any live in the city of Houston? Raise your hands. Okay. You owe your low taxes to me. Because I started fighting for lower taxes in '94. Was a member of the group that got the city of Houston tax limitation ordinance passed through a vote of the public. And also was a member of the group that got term limits in the city of Houston for council members and the mayor. Some of you may think that's great, some of you not so great, but I think it's healthy for the city to rotate those people. So anyway, I'm thankful for having done this service, and I'm not going to totally leave politics, but certainly don't ever plan to run for anything again. And so I'm sort of leaving with regret and happiness at the same time. And I've got other things to do, including finishing my house and pleasing my wife for a change, because this 29 years have sort of sacrificed a lot of things to do what I did. So thank you very much, and look forward to talking to you in the future. And I'm going to send all of you all a email on January the 2nd, so I won't get in any trouble. And going to leave this with a history question for you all. There was a great World War II general by the name of Douglas MacArthur, who made a speech to Congress, I think it was in 1950, but don't hold me to that, in which he has a very famous phrase that he ended it with. And so I'm not going to tell you what that is, so y'all can go look it up, since I don't think most of you weren't even born then. And but it's well documented and well known, and maybe some one of y'all, I bet Sarah knows what it is. So if you want to tell them, so they won't have to look it up, but I think it's very applicable for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Don, for your service. Do any other board members have any anything to announce, any participation, anything else from any other board members? No? Do we have the trivia question, Sarah?
Is it the old soldiers never die? I feel like I'm on Jeopardy. Do, do, do.
Old soldiers never die, they just fade away.
There you go. All right. Well, excellent. Okay, let's move on to our monthly financial reports. Dr. Jesus Amezcua.
These are the financial highlights as of November 30th. This is September, October, November, the first quarter of the year. A lot of the revenue still pending for the rest of the year. The tax statements were just sent out, so we'll see a lot of the revenue in December and January. So some of the numbers will look a little off because of the early part of the year. So, but keep that in mind as we go through the information. All the data is posted on our website. And our balance sheet is $33,484,747 are our assets. Liabilities of $2,491,790. And fund equity of $19,278,989. And appropriation $11,713,964. Total equity of $33,484,747. We're finishing up the year-end audit, and we'll present the audited financial statements in January, the January board meeting. Year to date, this is what we started with, the fund balance, but we will certify those, have those certified in January as to the levels at that time. The financial ratios for the first month, as I mentioned, a lot of those numbers are a little bit off because of the data. It's only 2 or 3 months out of the year. The percentage of fund balance of general fund revenue, 95%. A year ago was 194%. Working capital ratio steady at 31 million. Last year was 32. Unassigned fund balance ratio, 35% versus 66% from a year ago. Debt to income ratio, we haven't made any debt service payments so far, so that's 0 at this point in time. Tax revenue, this is what I mentioned to you, that we have only received $39,000 in taxes so far this year. Most of our revenues are going to be in the month of December and January, which is when the taxes are generally due or paid. So you'll see this ratio become better. Right now, we're at less than 1%. Indirect cost to tax ratio, this is from our federal funds, steady at 4% from 3% a year ago. We received some additional grants that makes this revenue higher. So we'll see a little bit of an increase here for indirect cost. Fee for service ratio, we're at 6.4 million versus 45%, then 41%. So this is holding up strong compared to last year. We're at 45% versus 41% in terms of our revenues that is not related to taxes. Our growth right now, we're still at -11 because of the early part of the year. And last year, at the same time, we were at -2%. Fund balance activity, for this particular month, we have had 125,209 of unassigned fund balance in earlier months. In our revenues, we're at 14% in the general fund versus 25% that is normally on a linear type of a projection. Overall, we're at 9%, and you'll see the levels for our grants, which is at 7%, and all the other funds as well. Expenditures, we're at 19%, which is also below the 25% threshold. So even though some of our revenues hasn't come in yet, our expending pattern is still below the linear of 25%. So we're about 6% below. So overall, we're about 15%, which is good for us because we're not spending at the same rate as we are not receiving some of the revenue. So this kind of equalizes our budget. Our COVID-19 expenditures from the general fund, we have still so far available $955,553 that we spent year to date $380,000. And from our Head Start grant, we've spent $799,563. And we still have available $1,340,260 for Head Start. In kind, in donations and cash, for the months of October and November, we have not received any donations for those 2 months. In terms of our values, as of this month, we are at $502,389,166,676, which leaves about $9 billion more to be certified between now and the end of the year. If all that gets certified, we'll get a little bit about close to an extra $1 billion at the end in terms of property values. And we projected a 98% collection rate. And so if all the revenue comes into play, then we'll get an additional $188,000 in additional collections. Again, as I mentioned, taxes, we're still not receiving a lot of revenues yet. Only $37,000 have come in. December, in January will be the big target and focus to make sure how that is, the collections are going to behave for the year. And tax fees for appraisal district and tax office, we haven't made our payments just yet, so we'll still yet to make those payments so far. So, any questions on this so far? We've collected $45,955 so far. The levy basically projected at $25,326,000, so it's less than 0.2% so far that we've collected for the year. Any questions before I move on from this slide?
Any trustees have any questions? Trustee Cantu?
Yes, Dr. Mesqua, you mentioned COVID-19 expenditures, and I didn't catch that you mentioned a couple of categories, one of them being Head Start.
Yes, sir.
If you could go back to that. And,
yes.
And before you got to that, I was going to ask if we had received any federal funds.
Yes, sir.
Through, I guess, PPE or PPP or any other?
Not through the state, the county, or anywhere else. The only thing we receive is from Health and Human Services for Head Start directly, and we received $2.6 million $1,130,581. That's the grant amount. Out of that, we still have $384,000 available to spend for Head Start. But we do have in the general fund that was allocated out of the 1.5 million, we still have 955,000 available between now and the end of the year.
Out of that 1.5.
1.5
from. Okay.
Yes. So yes, I think early in the pandemic, we allocated 1.5 million so that we could buy some equipment, if you recall some of the CDW expenditures for laptops and so on. Well, they were eligible for Head Start grants and also for adult ed grants. So we moved those expenditures to those grants, and so that freed up some of our local dollars, which you see they're still close to $1 million still available for any other expenditures that we may need to do between now and the end of the year.
And that's local dollars?
That's local dollars.
Okay. So speaking of local dollars, you were talking about the tax
Yes.
collection. What are we thinking about? Are we preparing for the possible, there's folks out there talking about the possibility that folks are gonna, they're gonna lose the coverage for their mortgage protection and those kinds of things, which tax collection is tied to in a lot of cases.
Sure. So we projected a 98% collection rate. December and January will be the true tale, if you will, as to how we are from a year ago. Last time that we had, and I know the pandemic is a little different than Harvey, but when Harvey happened, our collection rate actually went up at that time. I mean, that was just, I thought it was going to go down, and it actually went up by 1%. I don't know this pandemic just yet. I need to see December, how the December collections are going to occur, and that will give us a true indication as to whether we're going to end up with a collection rate of less than 98%. Now, if they don't get collected this year, they're going to be collected in the subsequent years, because now the tax, now you're going to have some additional penalty and interest after February the 1st. Then it becomes more expensive to pay the same tax. I foresee that there's going to be the majority of the taxpayers that are corporate are probably going to be in line with last year. We may have a little slow collection in terms of residential, and some of the small businesses that are sort of in the mid range, where they're not a corporate body, but there may be a small business type of a taxpayer. We may see a slow collection in those areas. But December, definitely, when we talk about this in January, we'll see the beginning of the trend, and then we'll definitely see it in February when we talk about January. And so at that time, we need to look at whether, when we look at that towards the end of the year, are we going to look at the budget in terms of is it going to behave the same way between now and August, or do we need to have an alternative plan to be able to deal like we did this last year, where yes, some of the revenues didn't come in, but the expenditures were also not incurred as well. So we'll take a look at that in the next couple of months. That'll be the big story. Yes.
Yeah, I'd like,
Don, if you wouldn't mind, Trustee Hinojosa did have her hand up before you.
I did see her.
Trustee Hinojosa, please.
I had the same question about the COVID expenses and the COVID budget. You answered, I just wanted some clarification. You answered that, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Please, Don.
Okay. Well, that $1,500,000 is our tax money, right?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
On the COVID thing?
Uh-huh.
That's our appropriation.
1.5 million?
Yeah, so what I was going to say about that is, if you don't spend it, you can unappropriate it, and you can spend it on something else that you'd like to have.
Right.
Now, on the tax thing, I have a big, long history of that. Even the worst of times, the tax collections are about, in years past, they've been like 100%. Now they're down to like 98%. So I don't think you have much of a worry about that, because the penalties are so strong that people will pay their taxes when they won't pay anything else. Because you're 38% penalty at the end of June. So that's quite an incentive to get it paid. And if you have a mortgage and you don't pay it, your mortgage company is going to pay it anyway. So the only people that have any ability to not pay it are the ones that own their homes free and clear. And then, of course, the county can repossess the house, and they'll get all their tax money plus the penalties. So property taxes are the one thing that people generally will pay when they can't do anything else.
So our collection rate right now is 0.2. A year ago, at the same time, we were at 3.2. So that's why I see a little bit, and it could be a factor of in December that we'll catch up, and we'll take a look at that in December and January. Our disbursements for the month, all the included in your packet and also on the website, 341 checks, 637 transactions, 6 transfers totaling $3,887,828. In terms of our segment division data, education certification, holding at minus 28,421. Records management, 185,231. That revenue, some of that revenue will be billed in the second quarter. We'll have follow-up meetings with records management. It may be a situation of recording some revenues that have not been recorded just yet. School-based therapy, 648,323. Special schools at plus 7,354. Remember, in schools, we build every 6 months. So at the very beginning, we bill for the entire first semester, and then in January, we bill for the second part of the year. So you're always going to see those to the positive until the last 3 months, where basically that you will see some of the subsidy. Choice Partners continues to move strong at 71% benefit ratio, which so far they've transferred $1,153,628 to the general fund from enterprise fund. So that helps a lot, which is roughly about a little less than about 48% out of the year that we projected for the year. So it's doing well. Amendments, capital projects, 17,683. We received a request for some additional furniture and equipment for AB West Campus, and so we'll allocate 17,683. Foundation update, statement of financial position. We have assets of $908,040, restricted, and also we have, and that's a comparison to October to November. We received $7,020 in contributions, and we spent, $178,475 in different disbursements from the different partners from Houston, Crosby, LaPorte, Stafford, Humboldt. In total, $178,471. In terms of our PFC, the 2016, we don't not reporting that anymore because that project is complete, but there will be so far $918,000 available in the bond account, if you will, from the PFC from the 2016 AB West project. Just a recall on our Moody's rating, our capital program that was approved on August the 3rd. These are the different programs. We closed on the bonds on December the 2nd, invested in our pool so far. We made a transfer to make sure that we allocate for the program manager from ABE's cost. And so every month you will see an update regarding how much we spend and how much we've allocated so far in the different projects. These are also the official statements. I wanted to leave it here for a couple months. Next month you will not see these anymore because these were the official statements that were offered in the market for both the maintenance notes and the PFC. Projects underway, Coolwood Head Start. Ms. Thika received notice that we got funded on the grant for the land acquisition, and also they're being considered for the construction project. Hopefully at the end of the month or in January we'll receive notice on the application for the construction. LaPorte Head Start, we're looking at implementing that in the spring. And projects that you probably see in the agenda that are delayed due to COVID-19, NPU elevator, some of the projects that are still pending and will be completed this year. Questions on the first part of the report?
Dr. Mescua? please keep trucking, keep doing good work.
The next one is the investment report, and you know, it used to be that this investment report was really exciting because there was a lot of money. But nowadays it's just money, without really exciting. Monthly investment report, everything is posted on our website. Our policy is certified by GTOT. And here's our portfolio as of November 30th, 31,874,242, out of which 952,956 it's in the PFC, and the rest is in the different pools. And as you can see here, the distribution among the different pools, we try to keep it as diverse as we can so that we don't put all our money in one pool. A text pool has our PFC, which is 952,000. And a year ago, we had 4.7 million, or 13% more, and that's because we used that money for AB West, and that's for the PFC project. All our funds are pretty much overnight. We've earned $8,824 and a whopping $17 on the PFC. You know, sorry to report that. Our yield is 0.12. The average is 0.08 in the market. And so these are the returns that we're seeing right now, 0.08 to 0.11, which is you know, very low for our market. And you see how they progress down in the last 9 months, 12 months, if you see from the pandemic, which started in February, and you see the big dip right there from February to March and then to April. So here's where we look at investing. We're looking at 0.11 to 0.08 to 0.9. So it's not really a whole lot to be moving a lot of money around when you're only going to pick up a basis points here or there. So we want to just pretty much maintain the principle safe and not get aggressive and try to pick up you know, 2 or 3 more basis points, and which is really not a lot of worthwhile to be able to do that. Yes, sir.
Summers?
Can you explain to the board what overnight means?
Overnight means is that we have our monies in the pool, and all basically we need is to request the money, and then basically the following day we'll receive a wire back to the department if we were to need the money. Because they're basically invested in overnight investment pool that is available to us within a 24-hour notice.
Does everybody understand that? Because it's used widely within the financial industry. But basically, you give it to the bank late in the afternoon, and you get it back in the morning, and this is what you earn for that night, which really makes absolutely no sense that nobody spends it during the night. So
yeah,
that's the way it works.
Yeah, they pay you to keep it overnight. Now they're not paying a whole lot of money, so pretty much.
Just give it away.
Thank you.
Okay. So moving right along, we are at our consensus agenda. Does anybody see any items they'd like to remove from the consensus agenda? Okay, okay. I'm not gonna question it. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Motion's made and second to approve all the items of the consensus agenda. Is there any discussion? No discussion. Let's put it for vote. All in favor, raise their hand. Passes unanimously, ending the year on a good note. Always happy when stuff passes unanimously. Makes it easier on us. Okay. So that's done. Let's move to 7, which is the non-consensus agenda. Okay. Consider approval of the proposed annual budget for fiscal year 2021 to 2022. Dr. Jesus, you're coming up. You're going to present us for that? Okay. Maybe we start with the motion, we get it seconded, and then we do it on the questions. That could be, okay. Could I get a motion?
So moved.
Could I get a second?
Seconded.
Thank you. And let's please move forward with your presentation.
Thank you. You have a copy of the calendar for the budget cycle for 2021, and this is to adopt the 2021-22 year in June 2021. And so this is the beginning of the budget process for the new cycle. And so we have tentative dates here for workshops and later on in the spring, and also for adoption, tentative adoption in June. I'm sorry, in July.
Do we have any questions for Dr. Mescla? Trustee Duhon?
I'm not sure if you're the best to answer this actually, but why do we wait for board workshops until June and July? Should we not have that a little bit earlier to start planning for things better?
Well, we have to prepare the budget and the cycle and have all that presented. Keep in mind that we have the tax values projected until July and August when we receive those values. Then we'll do a projection here in January, but it's a projection that's 9 months away. And so it's a typical process, and as you can see also in the best practices framework, which is basically follows the same process.
Well, I think Jesus said what I was going to say is that when is the first estimate from HCAD? It's in June, isn't it?
Yes.
They give the estimates to all the school districts in June, so you have no idea what the values are going to be until June. So you can't set your budget till you really know how much revenue you're going to have.
But we'll have board workshops for prioritization of things that we're trying to accomplish before then. This will be board workshops specifically for the budget, though, correct? Okay.
Yeah, and I think what Dr. Mescla was also alluding to is there's a lot of meetings going on at the same time. We're first having internal meetings with the department and reviewing how they've done and performed over the previous years, listening to whatever recommendations that they have. We do a SWOT analysis, which is strengths, weaknesses, and threats. And I hear what you're saying is let's take into consideration what some of the board initiatives are. And I think we typically do that. I think the question is should we be doing that sooner versus June? And because during, May, we're doing like 30 meetings with all the internal meetings and trying to get those done. And then we present that information to the board. We show the board, like, this is how we performed this year. We'll obviously be talking about the implications of COVID. And then these are some of the things that we'd like to get into next year. And then the board will say, well, I want us to do, like this past year, that's when you brought up the $15 minimum. And then we go back, and I mean, it's tiresome because to Mr. Sumner's point, they change the projections, it seems like every other week. I mean, Dr. Mescla is back and forth, the numbers are up, the numbers are down, which affects our bottom line. So you would want to meet with the administration earlier than what we did this past year?
Maybe we could incorporate the budget committee, maybe?
Well, so the committee and how we do it is not the issue. The question is should it come in front of the actual department doing their presentations with their SWOT analysis?
Right. I believe we pushed the agenda to look at the budget meetings later, because there's a board workshop coming up in terms of looking at the kind of the general concept and ideas and goals for the board and the superintendent, so that we can incorporate some of those things into our process. And so I believe that there's gonna be a board and superintendent
There's gonna be a
workshop,
retreat in February.
retreat that will identify some of those things.
But I think, yeah, we
I
can.
think that answers what I'm asking.
Yeah.
We can use the board retreat as a time to talk about our prioritization within the budget, so.
And during the retreat, we'll also be revisiting the mission and goals of the organization, which that's a big deal. I mean, there's plenty of discussion that will be held on that, and that shapes the direction that the department's going in.
I also think it's important to, because we're in a different position than we were 2 years ago, and to some extent a year ago, not necessarily, but I think you have a board that's much more interested in the process and wants to further and promote the process. So just, I'd hope the department keeps that in mind. You have a very interested board, very curious, wanting to learn, want to be part of it board, very interactive board. I think that'd be the best adjective. Okay. Are there any questions on this agenda item? Agenda item number 7A. 7A, because it's been, the motion made, seconded, no discussion, we've had our discussion. Any more discussion? Let's put it for a vote. All in favor, raise your hand. Item passes. I need to, because it's these always confuse me with the policy. Do we read it, or do we make a motion now, since this is the second reading?
The actual motion.
Okay, so, do I have a motion for 7B? Consider second reading and final approval of the following revised local policies.
Moved.
Okay, motion made by trustee Norris. Do I have a second? By trustee Hinojosa. Do we have any discussion of policies that we previously discussed? Okay, let's put it for a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All abstaining? Okay, so it's 5-1. Okay. Let's consider approval of the interlocal agreement with Harris County Sheriff's Office for the fiscal year 2021 and 2022 for law enforcement services provided to the schools division for the following campuses. I have a motion.
Make a motion.
Trustee Norris made, Trustee Cantu made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Norris. Is there any discussion?
Hi, can I just get some clarity on this? I know we currently have law enforcement in the schools, and so I just want some clarity. Is this a new contract, or is it a renewal, or what is it?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, that's a renewal.
Thank you.
Trustee Cantu?
Yeah, does that renewal include an annual increase? You remember how much that is?
Yeah, that's about a $12,000 increase. Percentage-wise, that's about 2.5%.
10%.
Trustee Norris?
And I'm reminded, since we had a presentation earlier about safe and secure schools, I'm assuming I guess the question is, do we do that on our own schools, on processes like this? I'm thinking about it now, but like, as far as analysis on, do we do self-analysis? So like, this is for AB East and AB West, but I'm just thinking, do we do our own analysis, since, on our safety and security and contracts like this?
No, haven't done that. That's an interesting concept. Yeah, we do it for other school districts. We haven't done it for our own. It's with our AB campuses in High Point. Those kids aren't necessarily our home children. They're coming and going. So we may have a kid that comes to High Point for 60 days and then he's back at his home district. And the same with our AB campuses. So there's constant kids coming and going, and that's probably somewhat of a challenge with that, but that's something that we can look at.
Any other discussion? Question? Let's move it for a vote. All in favor? Okay, we're going to go to agenda item 7E, which is consider approval to purchase Microsoft Campus License Agreement. Do I have a motion?
You skipped the.
Did I skip? Oh, I skipped D. There you go. I'm already skipping stuff. I was doing so good. Okay, so I'm sorry I skipped it. We're at D, 7D. Consider approval of a change order to contract with ERC Job Order 20/017-09 for the installation of a sump pump with pit flood alarm in the amount of $29,295. Do I have a motion?
So,
Made the motion. Do I have a second? Second. Any questions on this? Trustee Duhan.
I just want to know what a sump pump is.
Attaboy, Joe.
Yes, ma'am. The sump pump goes at the bottom of the elevator pit. So there's fire sprinklers at the top of the pit. And so in the event that there is an emergency and the fire sprinklers go off, the pit doesn't get flooded. There's a lot of electrical equipment down there. And so the sump pump pumps it into the sewer system. Yes, ma'am.
Good job, Joe.
Trustee Sumners.
So is this in addition to the original elevator thing? You say a contract change order. So the sump pump wasn't in the original elevator contract?
That's correct. During the permitting process, the city of Houston found a need to install that sump pump.
Okay, got you.
Any other questions? Questions? We're going to put it for a vote. All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed? All abstaining? Are you in favor or are you abstaining? Okay, favor. We got a unanimous again. I'm always going to push for unanimous voting. Okay, that passes. Okay, it appears in my hurry to get us in and out, I messed up, or we messed up. Well, I was taking the blame. I was being the captain. I was taking the blame on it. So it appears we messed up on 21. E21. So what do we, Sarah, what do we need to do?
So this is the one for consider approval of contract award for job number 21016KN for educational instructional software. We need to remove Elevation Inc. from the list of approved vendors because they did not agree to the contractual terms and conditions, and so we are still negotiating those. And so if someone would like to make a motion to reconsider item 6E21 and to approve the item with the exception of Elevation Inc., that would be very helpful.
Okay, do I have a motion for what Sarah just said?
so moved.
Second. Okay, there we go. Okay, any discussion?
Who
Seconded.
seconded? Sorry, who seconded?
I'm
You
sorry, I need some clarification. Which action item is this?
6E21, so if you look right before 7 action items, non-consensus, do you see 21 on that same page?
To consider approval of the contract award job number for educational instructional software and related
Correct.
items? Okay.
And in the third line from there down, Elevation Inc.
Okay.
That's the one that Choice Partners is asking to be removed.
Oh.
Because we're still in negotiations with the contract terms and conditions.
Okay.
We got cart in front of the horse. That's okay. Any other questions on this agenda item? Okay, let's put it for a vote. All in favor, raise your hand. Passes unanimously. Okay, now back to where we were. We were at E, right? Okay. Consider, excuse me. Consider approval to purchase Microsoft Campus License Agreement. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Trustee Norris made the motion. Do I have a second? For Trustee Hinojosa. Do we have any discussion on this?
I'd just like some explanation. It says not to exceed 300,000, so is that typical for campus Microsoft license to be that high?
Question?
Yes, it's a conglomeration of a bunch of different things that are provided by Microsoft. So Microsoft Windows and Microsoft Office, email, there's a security suite, there's a whole bunch of things that goes into that. So that is typical for the Microsoft purchase.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Discussion, I'm guessing. No more discussion, right? Okay, no more discussion, let's put up for vote. All in favor, raise your hand. Passes unanimously, okay. 2:40, we're going to executive session under Texas Government Code pursuant to any all purposes permitted by sections 551.001 to 551.084, including but not limited to 551.071 and 551.074. I did that right? We're back from executive session. It's 3:56 p.m.
I move to approve the Sixth Amendment to the Superintendent's Employment Contract as discussed in executive session.
Second.
Motion made by Andrea Duhan, seconded by Danny Norris. Is there any discussion? Let's put it all for a vote. All in favor, raise your hand. Passes unanimously. Okay, do we have any other motions to discuss? One thing I would like to discuss before we go. Oh, Ms. Hinojosa.
So I missed this, I forgot when you asked about board accolades and activities, and I just wanted to say that I had the privilege of being part of Pasadena ISD's their Education Foundation fundraiser. So they did a telethon, and it was called Back for the Future, and it was the theme was Back to the Future, which is my favorite movie. I know the script for all 3 movies, and so I was all over this fundraiser, and so it was really cute. It was themed out, and they had PISD employees doing different things, and the coolest thing was that they found PISD employees to play the piano, the saxophone, to sing, and they had the, that scene in the very first movie at the end where Marty McFly's on stage, and so they had like the under the sea dance, and it was just the cutest thing. Anyway, their goal was $250,000, and they raised $325,000, I think. And I think it was like from 12 to 8 o'clock or something like that. And so I got to go and answer phone calls. I only got one call because what they didn't tell us is that when your phone rings, if you're not fast enough, somebody else picks it up. And we didn't know that until those of us who were there for the hour didn't know that until it was almost over. We didn't realize it was some sort of contest. But anyway, I did get to pick up one phone call, and it was my cousin. So it was really enjoyable, and they raised a lot of money. So there you go.
I was trying to remember Back to the Future. Do you remember the gizmo that they used in Back to the Future? The flux
Capacitor?
Flux capacitor.
Oh, that's an easy one.
I heard it.
I love Back to the Future. So, I hope this is on the agenda. I don't see, but do we have any discussion of any possible actions for future agenda items? See, I do have a little bit if no one else does. So James, and this might be an existing program, but someone brought it to my attention, Andre, and it's just a really awesome idea. And it might already exist, and I think you were telling me about it. Is what we should do is read to, or at least the trustees should read to Head Start children, maybe even encourage other people in our community to do that. A lot of reasons, but if there's already an existing program, please spoon feed us. please just, we'd like you to spoon feed us it, because all of it, I think all of us want to do it. I imagine the 2 new board members, or at least want the option to do it. So
But
if it
be careful
exists-
what you ask for, because you got to do a lot of it. Trustee Cantu and I have done it. So just real quick, that has kind of been shut down during COVID.
Of course it has.
So we have a program called Super Mentors, and it's really for, it has been historically in the past for fathers and pastors and men and stuff reading to the kids because of the male role models, but I think it can certainly expand to include more than just men reading to the kids. There's never, there's a shortage of readers. I just know at the place that I've been at, I don't know about you, Trustee Cantu, but normally end up reading to 2 to 3 classrooms because they don't have enough readers to read to them. So that's absolutely something that we can do, but we haven't done it at all since COVID. And we do it every month, and so I guarantee you will get a cold by the end of the year because
and maybe this could be something that maybe there's a lot we can do with it. I think it's a beautiful thing, and whenever it's the right time, all of us want to be a part of it, and hopefully we can figure out a way where we have more community involvement doing it, because I think it's just cool. Yes, sir. Any other board members? Comments, concerns, possible items for the agenda? This is your time to speak. Okay, seeing none, do we have a motion to adjourn, unless I'm missing something?
So moved.
Do we have a second for the motion to adjourn?
Seconded.
Any questions, discussion on our motion to adjourn? Up for a vote. All in favor, raise your hand. Passes unanimously. Thank you all so much. I'm going to miss y'all. See y'all next year.